Welcome to the Ultimate Real Estate Hacks, the podcast where we're going to dive deep into secrets, strategies, and insights that can help you navigate the complex world of real estate. Whether you're a first time buyer, a seasoned real estate agent, or someone just curious about the industry, we've got you covered. I'm the host, David Delgado, and today we're going to dive deep into the worlds of escrows. It's an essential part of real estate transactions that often go underappreciated. Joining us today is Mike Cruz with Pasadena and Claremont Escrow. With 25 years experience in the industry, he's going to shed some light on how escrow companies support real estate agents and their clients, streamlines the transactions, and ensures everything runs smoothly. We'll explore the escrow process, the common challenges escrow faces, and how to make the most of your partnership with an escrow provider. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's unlock the ultimate hacks to make your real estate journey a success. Thank you so much, Mike, for just taking your busy day, carving out some time so we can really. I want to ask you a few questions before we get started. Just asking you a few questions on, you know, uh, just introduce yourself, but I'm going to ask you more questions about like escrows, new real estate agents, maybe some buyers or sellers that are, thinking about using your services and what are some of the benefits. But as we get started, you can share some of that stuff as well. So why don't we
Okay.
start off with just introducing yourself and your escrow company and really what
Mhm.
inspired you to get into the escrow business?
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me, David. Coming from a real estate background, um, we sort of saw a need to, start an escrow company because, we weren't seeing the service level on the escrow side that, as a realtor, we wanted. So we said, well, what better than, let's fix that and let's get into the escrow business. So that's really what kind of opened that door for us.
Wow, that's amazing. It's all, I think we have similar backgrounds. I
Hmm.
myself was also a real estate agent for many
Okay.
years. I became one of the number one realtors at our local board of realtors, and that really what inspired me to jump back into the mortgage business. But before the real estate business, I was actually a loan officer, and then I jumped in there. Had a lot of success, but at the same time, like, man, there's so much things that I have learned that it can really help out and apply my knowledge and my experience. So it seems like we have a lot in common with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what is your primary role of an escrow company? These are, I would say this is probably for maybe like a listener that's listening that could be new to getting into real estate,
Hmm.
maybe a buyer or seller that's thinking about using your services. So like, can you explain to the listeners, like, what is your primary role for an escrow company?
So escrow is a neutral third party in any transaction. We handle payoffs, we handle recordings. If they're doing a refinance, any credit cards or any creditors they need to pay off. We handle all that. When it comes to the recording, we prepare the deed. We have the notary meet the borrower to sign it and get it notarized, and we send it off to title for them to record it. So California is a escrow state. Some states require attorneys to handle those
Mm,
type of transactions, but California is a escrow state, and we can also do not purchase escrows but refinance in states in states that are escrow states like Texas, Arizona. We actually do quite a few escrows out of state. So
wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know
yeah,
that
yeah.
your license is kind of you can use it in different states as well. That's great. So I would imagine that you have maybe clients that can refer you business in these other states that you can keep this relationship going. Makes a lot of sense to offer those types of services.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
What are some of the steps that are involved, like for the listeners that I would say that somebody's looking to list their house or maybe a listing
Hmm.
agent? What's the escrow process when people are going to list their house and to all the way to
Okay.
get
Well, the very first step is usually the realtor will ask for a net sheet.
Oh,
So the net sheet will provide them with the net sheet. We'll ask them, okay, what's the rough estimate of their payoff if there's a payoff on their existing loan? What's the purchase price? What's the commission for the listing agent? What's the commission for the selling agent? Are there any concessions, any credits, any NHDs, termites, whatever they're going to include? So
mhm.
we'll prepare a net sheet for the realtor to present to their seller, and it'll show all the cost and what they will net at the end.
Mm,
And obviously, it's an estimate. It's not a final net sheet. It's an estimate because obviously some charges will change. Taxes. You know, of course, we'll work on the escrow fee, so sometimes that will change. But the estimate is what starts the transaction with the seller or
mm,
the listing agent presenting it to their seller. And once all that is done, the listing agent, when they get the listing, when they're ready to open escrow, they send us their purchase contract. The buyer will send over their earnest money deposit to us in a
mm.
form of a cashier's check or wire. We don't take personal funds. We don't take cash. It's all just cashier's check, wired amount. And it starts the escrow process. We'll send out the escrow instructions to both parties, the buyer and the seller. On our end, the seller will sign a seller's packet, which will include them signing the grant deed, which is granting the property over to the new buyer. Now, we do not take that to title until the end. We hold on to that. And I know a lot of people, a lot of sellers are like, well, I'm already signing the grant deed, and we're doing it now. We're not going to take it to title. Don't worry. We're not going to record it. It's getting recorded at the end. So we get all that ahead of time. We get a SI, which is a statement of information for the seller, and that we'll make sure there's no liens or anything against them that's going to prohibit them from selling the property. And that's it. To wait for the lender and the realtor to do their thing, and we'll just finish everything off. Hopefully, it's usually a smooth transaction with this. So
Right on.
yeah.
So would you say that you're the middle, pretty much the company that's
Mhm.
in between the seller and buyer of the transaction and lender too, right? So you're
Yeah,
this
yeah.
middle.
So
Okay.
we're the middle man. We're the mediators. Sometimes
Right.
there's the lender, the realtor, the seller, and the buyer. They're getting into it, and so a lot of the times we play the mediator, and we kind of try to be like, hey, well, this is what's going on, and we go back. This is what's going on, and we try to calm things down, and so we're the middlemen. So yeah.
With your background in real estate, that's got to be a huge advantage being an escrow
Hmm.
officer. Being able to not just do the transaction, but manage the relationships from the buyers and the sellers and the agents involved, which is a lot of work. I've been
Yeah,
involved with lots of transaction. When you have that
yeah,
thing going on, you got to have somebody that's being able to communicate and keep everyone at peace, so that way this transaction can close. And when
yeah,
when
yeah.
I know from my experience, when the more I can do that, the more transactions close, and when more transaction closes, real estate
Hmm.
agents got to be much happier working with you, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and our job is to make the transaction smooth for anybody because the seller, if something goes wrong, the seller's not going to get mad at escrow. They could care less about escrow. They're going to get mad at their realtor because they're going to be like, well, this is what's going on. And so we try to smooth things out. We try to make it as smooth for everybody. So the realtor, the lender, everyone looks like a rock star to their clients. And that's our job. And yeah, coming from that real estate background, it does give us an advantage because we kind of know how to talk to the realtor and kind of, or the listing agent or the buyer or the seller. So we kind of, know how to smooth things out. So it usually ends pretty good with us.
That's great. Can you give any advice to real estate agents to ensure that smooth escrow process?
Mm. I would say the number one most important thing is get that SI, that statement of information out ASAP. Get it back to us, because you don't know how many times we've been getting ready to close and child support lien pops up or tax lien pops up. And why does that happen? Well, we just got the SI back 4 days ago. So that saves a lot of headaches for everybody. So if I was to say anything, is get that statement of information out ASAP, because that usually causes a lot of headaches when we're getting ready to close.
Yeah, so important.
Mhm.
I also make that very well known on all of our real estate transactions
Yeah.
that get that statement of information. It's almost like it without that thing, it doesn't matter what the approval that we have. So right
Yep.
away, we're tracking that. It's like, hey, did the client fill that thing out? Get it back over to the escrow
Hmm.
company so they can get it all
Yep.
cleared from title. So that way there's no surprises.
Yeah.
Um, so we actually add that to our checklist. So when we first open escrow, we're tracking
Hmm.
it, and making sure the client has completed that thing, getting it back out. Because we get a lot of calls from the escrow, like on escrow documents, which is
Uh-huh.
great because that means we can be involved with that process a little bit. And I think by us doing that can really smooth out transactions as well. So that's a great tip right there for real estate agents
Yeah.
that are not
Hmm.
too familiar with that process that can really smooth things out, because of child support, sometimes I've been involved with this where, it took months for them to actually get like a
Yeah. Yeah.
clean payoff or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like I said, it's just, and a lot of the times, the majority of the times, it's wrong. It should have been off already, or so and that's, like I said, that could have been cleared up weeks ago when we would have got it. So yeah, so, well, really important to get that out.
Right. So that's a pretty sensitive information right there, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
on the statement of information, what's on that statement of information on that form there that's so important?
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty simple. It's like when we have them fill it out, it's like I said, self-explanatory. It's their name, their legal name, social, driver's license. We ask for 10 years, their last residence for the last 10 years, employment, any past marriages, because a lot of names are really common, like Mike Cruz, that's a really common name. So, so they want to make sure that, okay, this is the right person that's filling this out. This is the right, or, so they want to eliminate the possibilities of, oh shoot, these are the same people, who's who. So that's why we ask for all that information. So it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just simple information that will, let title know who you really are. So
Good. Yeah. So get that out of the way right away. If you're
yeah.
a real estate agent watching this video
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
listening, it's so important. Mike just went over right now. It will change. Basically, what has allowed us to do is allows us to close loans much faster because
Hmm.
we're doing that part at the very beginning, and meaning like the buyers sometimes are puzzled. Sometimes they're like, I don't want to put 10 years because for a variety of reasons. I've heard a lot of reasons why they don't want to put 10 years. I'm like, you have to put 10 years down.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They're like, well, I don't remember the exact address. I said, well,
Yeah.
try to remember as much as you can, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I say
Yeah.
make sure that thing's fully complete. So that way,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
absolutely. That's a great tip there that you're providing everyone there, Mike.
Hmm.
So as far as like opening up escrow, what
Uh-huh.
would the normal process look like for a real estate agent?
So once you get the accepted offer, you'll send over the signed purchase contract over to escrow. Again, like I said, the buyer will send their earnest money deposit. We we it's been a while now. We usually don't do escrow instructions until we get the buyer's earnest money deposit. And we started doing that because a lot of times our escrow officers would take the time to write their escrow instructions, and then the buyer backs out the next day. So
Hmm.
they spent all that time doing the escrow instructions. And so now we make sure we have an earnest money deposit before we do escrow instructions, because we want to make sure that the buyer is committed. And so we want to make sure that they're committed, and that's why we don't do escrow instructions until we get the EMD. So they'll do the escrow instructions. Like I said, seller buyer will get their own. And so that's pretty much it to get, how it gets started. So.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine like there's any real benefit to do the
Mhm.
escrow instructions
Yeah.
without that earnest money deposit, right?
Right.
Because really there's not much you can do. Even from the lending side, there's not much we can do
Yeah.
to, help facilitate or even start the process without the earnest money deposit.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I might get things in line, get things ordered
Yeah.
and get everything ready to go, but
hmm
you know, without the money in escrow, there's really technically no contract, even though,
Correct.
they've signed the contract,
Yeah.
it's fully executed.
Yeah.
Uh, have you ever been involved where somebody signed a contract and later on they've taken that contract or taken that listing and opened up escrow with another buyer and having two escrows open before, and then the second
Um,
buyer puts in the money?
um, no, because we usually get a cancellation before we'll open it up again. Because you're not allowed to have two open escrows on the same property. So yeah, so that's caused some issues sometimes, and we're kind of caught in the middle, like I said before, we're the middlemen. So we get caught in the middle. So we're like, well, why can't you? Well, we need a cancellation. We need both parties to agree to cancel. So that's kind of put us, in a tough place sometimes. But it's just something that that's out of our hands, and we can't do nothing until both parties agree.
Yeah, totally makes sense, and just
Yeah,
puts a lot of unfortunate pressure on an escrow company if they have two
yeah,
escrow open like that, because
yeah,
they
yeah.
at some point, like, who do you go with? Uh,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, I think once title finds out that there's two escrows, they're probably going to put their foot down too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure they'll do. Yeah, they'll have something to say about it. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the lending side, once they find out there was another escrow open, they want to
Uh-huh.
get a cancellation. Like,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
got to cancel that thing to make sure, they're not going to
hmm
close that loan without it getting canceled. So,
Yeah, yeah.
cool. What about like real estate agents or potential clients? How can they reach you for further questions or assistance?
Well, we have two offices, one in Claremont and then in Pasadena. So we're all over social media. You look us up on Instagram, both on and Facebook, Pasadena Escrow or Claremont Escrow. You can call the office, look us up online, PasadenaEscrow.com, ClaremontEscrow.com, or, just look me up online. I'm on social media as well. So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. I return phone calls right away, emails. So, the phone number to the office here in Claremont is 909-399-1171. And then I'm usually here at the Claremont office, so I'm more reachable here. So, but yeah, it's pretty easy to get a hold of.
Awesome, awesome. Do you have any final
Mhm.
thoughts or advice that you'd like to share with real estate agents who are looking to
Mhm.
partner with an outstanding, amazing escrow company like your company there?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. You know, in any business, in anything you do, you need a great team behind you. And one thing that I love to implement is, you know, nowadays there's a lot of a lot of real estate brokerages that have their own in-house escrow company. And we all know, realtors, for one reason or another, they'll leave a real estate company to go to another real estate company. So it's hard, for an escrow company to get to know you, to get to know how you work, just to get to know, oh, this person, they like emails better, or this person likes text messages better. So when you get a great team, like an escrow team, a lender, title, whatever, I recommend stick with them. Stick with them. Don't make them, don't have your broker, oh, well, you got to use us. No, you're an independent broker. You can use who you want. So I would say, find a great team, a great escrow company, a great title company, a great lender, and you know, and just stick with them, and work with them, and that's the best thing you can do in anyone's real estate career.
That is so true. A lot of
Mhm.
times, I see a lot of, newer real estate agents that actually kind of get
Mhm.
controlled in that area. It's like, hey, you got to use this
Mhm.
escrow company, you got to use this lender. But the more
Mhm.
experienced realtors out there, and I've got a
Yeah.
lot of contacts out there that,
Yeah.
real estate agents that are doing 20, 30, 40 transactions or more a year, they tend to like say, hey, I'm going to use my lender and I'm going to use my escrow company, period.
Right.
Because
Right.
like you said, it is we can say it is relationship, but at the end of the day, it
Mhm.
really comes down to performance, right?
Yeah,
So
it
like
is. Yeah.
that means you start maybe relationship and they start off saying, hey, I
Mhm.
like Mike and I
Yeah.
like the team over there, and it's my
Yeah.
team. At the end of the day, like you talked about, you learn how to work with that person, and now it becomes more performance based, like because
Right.
now there's better communication going on. You get better communication, everyone's operating smoother, things are closing
Mhm.
faster, and it's just less stress and worry that, you know, realtors
Right.
and lenders
Right.
have to even worry about because we want
Yeah.
to just
Yeah.
focus on getting new clients, putting them
Yeah.
escrow, and moving on to the next one. And having a team
Exactly.
is super important to that. I totally agree with that statement there.
Yeah. Yeah. And and it's like they say, the steps of having someone work with you is they have to know you, like you before they work with you, you know. And, so the more you get to know them, and then you build not only a business relationship, but hey, a friendship. And so, I have a lot of clients that obviously get bombarded by text messages and calls by other escrow companies, and they were, oh, I can't believe this escrow company hit me up, and but I tell them, nope, Claremont Escrow is my team, Pasadena's Escrow is my team. If it ain't broke, why fix it? I'm sticking with this company. They nothing but great service. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks
Mhm.
again, Mike, for jumping on here. I won't take too much of your time. It was just an honor just to uh, find out more, and maybe somebody that's watching this can actually help them have a
Mhm.
smoother transaction. And if you're looking for an outstanding, amazing escrow company to work with, reach out to Mike from Pasadena Claremont Escrow. Thanks a lot for watching.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
And that's a wrap up for today's episode of the Ultimate Real Estate Hacks. A big thank you to Mike Cruz for sharing invaluable insights into the escrow process and the critical role it plays in real estate transactions. We hope you've gained practical tips to help you navigate the next closing that's going to be on time, smooth, and efficient. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Share it with other fellow real estate enthusiasts as well. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or visit our website at Freedom Choice Lending for more tips and updates. Remember, whether you're buying, selling, or anything in between, we've got the hacks you need to succeed in real estate. Until next time, keep hustling, and we'll see you on the next episode.